And this is our final week, right?
I can't believe it's been 10 weeks.
I know it's amazing.
And I'm
So,
so excited that, that I can be here for this last one because it's all about, the celebration. And it's been an incredible journey with you, Saki. And I really appreciate everything that you've done to help like the two of us together, really
it's been an
pulling
incredible
it together.
experience for me as well. And for context, it's not that you weren't here, but we had to, we pre-recorded a number of the shows.
Hmm.
So, but whether you were physically there or not, we were there every Monday or
Yes,
Tuesday.
we were we were very consistent, weren't we?
Yeah, which is great. Which is great. And I
Yeah,
think that I think we have a lot to celebrate. Because I think there were a lot of great takeaways. So,
yeah,
you
definitely.
want to
And
introduce
and
yourself?
I think what just before I
Yeah,
do, I think one of the really great things about this program is that we have these videos, we have the challenges, they're all up on Facebook. And so, people can go back to that when
totally.
when they want to do it again, or if there's a particular area that they want to focus on. And those, our guest speakers as well, people will be able to jump on and say, oh yeah, it was this person who did that particular webinar, and I really liked what they had to say, so I'm going to reach out to that person.
Right.
It's yeah, really a great opportunity, and I think it's sort of that evergreen model where it just keeps giving, which is what I like.
Yeah, and we actually
Um,
met a lot of really cool people as a part of the
yes,
process.
absolutely. So my name is Cara Lynn, and I am one of the hosts of the Wellness Check-in, which has been a wonderful 10-week program that I've been able to share with Saki Litov. Feel free
And
to
my name
introduce
is
yourself.
Saki Litov. I am a patient advocate and a health navigator in the U.S. And I was tickled and honored when Cara reached out to, hey, I've got this idea to do this program about wellness. Are you interested? I'm like, sure, I'm game. And it's been quite a journey for both of us, I think.
Yeah, definitely, especially through the lockdown and so many big changes, and obviously all of those big changes for me as well.
Yeah,
I think we launched at a time when I didn't even have internet. I think a truck took out my internet cable, didn't it?
you were using like Wi-Fi hotspots in the beginning.
From next door, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. um yeah, there we go. So just as we do each week, that quick survey. I have to look at this screen to be able to read it.
yeah, it's fine.
I hope that doesn't look too weird. But so, how many of you have hydrated each morning, journaled, moved daily, tried breaking the fast, joined the Better Sleep Challenge, created a morning ritual, reflected on processing fears, implemented the steps to success, and started to get organized? I can say, Saki, I think I have nailed most of it. I've really, I've got my morning routine down pat. I journal every morning, hydrate every morning. I really need to move a bit more, but it's been freezing cold. You can tell that
No, I
I'm
can't
like
tell
it's
at all.
cold.
I can't tell at all.
This is what it's like living on the edge of a valley. Um, but yeah, so I think that reflecting on processing fears is something that I'd like to work on. And I'm definitely on my way to being more organized. As you can tell, I actually had everything ready this morning, Saki.
I was impressed. I was impressed.
How about you? How have you gone with these
Most of these
things?
things I'm really good with. I'd say that the journaling is my one area that I could do better. There was a period of time actually where I was using a program that it was a phone app, but one of the things that I really liked about it was it had a gratitude section, and you could kind of write. And I associated journaling is, anytime you're writing anything down, however you're writing it down.
Yep.
So there was a period of time where I was, kind of pushing myself to do this daily, and daily I would have to pick 3 people for who I was grateful for, and why. And there's such incredible power in that. So I'll find a way to fit it back in. I mean, otherwise, I think I'm pretty good with all these other things, and I think reflecting on processing fears is always an ongoing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I like that you mentioned gratitude because just over a week ago now, I started using my gratitude journal, and the first thing that it says is, "I will let go of."
Nice.
And so for that particular day, I do it every morning, but some people might do it once a week or twice a week.
Once a
But it
lifetime.
is, I will let go of. And then it is, I am grateful for, hopefully not once a lifetime. And then I will focus on.
Nice.
And then you list 3 things that you'll focus on. So it's this morning I think that I wrote down that I'm grateful for coffee and my warm bed and good friends,
Yeah.
my health. What else was it? Yeah, I think I even wrote cheese toasties, you know, because that's what I had for dinner last night. I was too tired to cook, so I did cheese toasties and I
Yum.
loved it.
Yum.
um, so there we go. So recap of, do you want to run through this, Saki?
Sure, sure. And this is what,
Yeah.
for anybody who's watching this for the first time, possibly, or even just the reminder, the challenges that we just went through, that recap, is the challenge that we put out to everybody on every week. So, week 1, we talked a lot about mindset. Week 2, we talked about the foundational pillars of wellness, which are sleep, diet, exercise, and prayer or meditation. Week 3, we had our first guest come in and talk about exercise and movement. Week 4, we had another guest talk about food. Week 5, we had another guest talk about sleep. And then week 6, Cara and I went over morning rituals and routines. Week 7, we had another guest talking about fear and facing adversity. Week 8, we had a guest talking about tips to working from home. And last week, Cara and I talked about being organized. So, which leads up to
Today's
da-da-da,
topic, time to celebrate.
woohoo! Do you have your dancing shoes on?
I,
You said you were going to be.
I'm, I have my slippers on.
Oh, good. So do I, actually. Not, I don't have your slippers on, but I have my slippers on.
It's, as I said, it's cold. I have 2 pairs of socks and slippers on. Um, so yeah, celebration. So I think that, one of the really important things when it comes to achieving or attempting, trying new things, even if we don't succeed, it's celebrating, because not trying, it is not a success.
Right.
It's so recognizing even those attempts, and then obviously having those wins. It's so important to celebrate it and recognize the effort that you've put in.
So
So how do
when,
you celebrate?
well, I was going to ask before, I wonder, when do you think you first were brought to even the concept of celebrating success?
Without sounding, you would know the word that I'm looking for, because I always get stuck with my words. Without sounding negative, um, I think we celebrate everything in life. You know, I have a 5-year-old girl. We celebrate, you know, at school they celebrate by giving them awards when they say thank you for doing
Yeah,
good work,
yeah.
for
Well,
showing up,
it's
for
interesting
being
that you say.
kind.
I didn't want to bring that up because I think that it's kind of a separate thing. But yeah, totally we're on the same page. I'm not a big fan on awards for effort, but I just mean the concept of celebrating success. So because for me, it's actually really at least just in the things that I've been involved in or people that I've been around, it's really only in the last 6 or 7 years, about 6, 7 years ago, my wife and I took our kids to a weekend workshop by Tony Robbins. I don't know, are you familiar with Tony Robbins? Yeah. So
Yep.
he does these workshops that are absolutely intense. And we brought our two boys, who at the time were, I think, 19 or 20 and 17. And it was the first time that I was really kind of introduced to this idea of the importance of celebrating success.
Hmm.
And I think it's not something that I haven't done historically, but being aware of it and consciously doing it is really different than just kind of it happening around you. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
yeah. So however we're able to you know offer that to people, that it is something worthwhile. It's not like celebrating something that minor, like in what is it? Everybody on the soccer team gets a trophy. You know,
Yep. Hmm.
participation awards. That's what we call them.
Yes. Yep. I think I think recognition would be a better word for things like that.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas, you know, celebrating success is, you know, it's similar, but for me, this is something that I'm still learning to do. I can say, yes, I've had a lot of success, you know, throughout my career and personal life, and recognizing my strength and resilience, and really, you know, pushing forward and achieving those things that I wanted to do in my life. Um, Celebrating it, not so much. I can't say that I have done, because I'm quite, I'd have to say, quite modest, if that would be the word for it, in the way that people will say, you know, you need to recognize, like, you're a strong woman and you've done so much and you did this and you did that, and, you know, that admiration. But I don't see that. So this today for me, I'll take a lot away from this particular webinar, and I really enjoy learning about it myself when putting it together. Um,
So
so
so celebrating success is something that you're still learning.
it
That's
is,
great.
it is, and so I will be doing the challenge with full commitment this week.
So so then let me use that as a great segue to tell you how I celebrate success, or even how I have learned to, especially in the last few years. So 5, 6 years ago, I had a bout with death, and I was incredibly ill and really was very touch and go for a long time. And it was health related. And coming out of it, I realized that I have to take care of myself. And I'm not going to be able. I'm a parent. I'm a spouse. I'm a boss. I'm a mentor. I'm all these things to all these people. But I'm not going to be able to be there for them if I don't take care of myself.
Hmm.
And so I had to turn around and say, okay, what do I need to do? And it's been incredible for me personally to kind of own and celebrate all these things that I needed to do for myself, like making sure I get enough sleep, making sure that I eat right, making sure I'm taking care of my health the way it needs to be. And frankly, taking care of myself first. And it's not a humility thing. And I think that people confuse that sometimes, that, oh, if I'm going to be, you know, celebrating, then I'm being arrogant. No, it's not. Because our harshest critics are more often than not ourselves,
Hmm.
you know.
Absolutely. And that, yeah, I recognize that it is important to celebrate. And well, my
So,
computer just went funny. Can you still see it?
yeah. We should go to the next slide
Okay.
because that's a great segue
Yes.
for that. There we go. So, why should we
So,
celebrate success?
yeah, which goes, do you have anything to say on this particular slide,
Oh,
Safi?
sure. Look, celebrating success, I think, gives you the confidence to move forward. And, you know, a lot of the idea of celebrating success is how you define success, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, so I have my older son is an engineer. He's a software engineer now, but he was a mechanical engineer before, and he does electronics and a lot of different stuff. And he's really helped me learn how to embrace failure as something to not be crushed by, not keep you down, and sometimes even celebrate. Because failure will show you very specifically how not to do something. So now you just figured out how you shouldn't do something. That's worth celebrating, right?
Yeah. It is. It is because it's all a learning opportunity, isn't it? And I think more and more people now are recognizing that, the word fail doesn't necessarily mean that's the end.
It shouldn't mean that's the end. In fact, more often than not, failure is part of the learning process. And I think it's
Yeah.
one of the things that too many people struggle with today. They're afraid to fail. And societally, now again, we're in different cultures, and so I'd be curious, you know, how it is in Australia. But I know in the U.S., one of the things that my wife and I talk a lot about is that people here don't like to say I'm sorry. People don't like to don't like to say I was wrong, because it's a sense of weakness in a way. When, you know, in reality, I think, you know, somebody with humility is showing strength. And that makes it hard in the workplace, with relationships, you know, sports.
Yeah, I think I don't know that it's, across every aspect of, or every culture, but I do find that people do struggle to apologize or recognize when they might be wrong. Um,
And so
yeah,
I think
it's
there's the celebrating success. Why we should celebrate success is we should feel proud of ourselves, and it's what helps will help move us forward.
yeah, yeah. And I've got some reasons here. And that goes into that, it is the opportunity to learn. We found one way that did not work. And we learn, we adapt, developing that success mindset. I find that if you always think negatively, you always expect the worst quite often. You know what? That's what you are going to get. But when you think positively, if something negative does happen, or you do fail, you don't get it right the first time. You don't see that as a setback. You see it as the opportunity.
Right,
And that's a success mindset.
right.
You know, I will keep going. And it's motivating. It feels good. It releases the happy chemicals. I mean, who's not happy, when they're singing or dancing, sharing their success? And that goes along with, point six. along with what you said before about it not being, what was the word for it, Saki? When you celebrate, some people perceive that as,
Oh, it's being arrogant.
there you go, that's the word.
Yeah.
I think that it's important. There may be ways where people share success that can come across as arrogant, but I guess, knowing that particular person, if you're sharing with a family member or a friend, you're sharing with your Facebook family, they know who you are. They know
Yeah.
why you're sharing and in what content. Um, so I don't see the arrogance in that. I think it's important to share that
And there's
success.
another spin. Um,
Hmm.
you can also look at sharing as seeking out the people to share their success with, because none of us do anything alone, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
sharing that success could be, maybe you are doing something by yourself. So sharing that success could be saying, I want to share who my inspirations were, or my parents, or if whatever what you did was more likely the result of a group effort, you share it with the people who made it possible.
and for those who, on the outside of that, you go back to number three, and that's motivation.
Right.
You know, you're motivating other people. They see your success, they see the work that you put in. They know that, yes, you didn't succeed straight away. They saw the ups and the downs, because a lot of the time I find that people, they share the wins, but not so much
The
the
struggles.
set, yeah, the struggles, the challenges.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the
but
that's the Facebook way.
yeah, it is. It certainly is, isn't it? So, so I think I'll read this. So recognizing and celebrating success is a very powerful motivator for individuals and teams, because it reinforces the meaning behind all that hard work, and it shows appreciation for the achievements. This in turn boosts our self-esteem, and it motivates us to take the next step towards achieving the next goal.
And
And I
the,
think
the
it's,
the boosting of self esteem, I think, can't be highlighted enough. Right. I
yeah,
think that that's something
confidence and,
I
yeah,
see too many people
absolutely.
struggling with that, and people who will see that it's the lack of confidence that will keep them from being able to do things that others might see them being able to naturally achieve.
I had success. I've had success this week. And
Hmm.
I will choose a way to celebrate that. I have gotten out of bed every morning without my alarm clock.
Oh, good for you.
Before 5 a.m., Saki.
Wow.
I
I'm
know, I
assuming that
know.
that means you're going to bed early too. Really? You're getting up on your own before or at 5?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I've been using my gratitude journal, every single day. I have been eating breakfast every single day.
That's awesome.
Um, so I am succeeding in my own personal care, my
So,
own well-being. And
how will you celebrate?
I think the next few slides go through some ways. Let's have a look. I think it's the next slide. 30 ways to celebrate your
Woohoo!
success. So I am going to choose one. I will choose one today,
Yeah.
and that a way that I will celebrate my success. So, and if there's anything else that you can think of,
Oh, you mean there might
that's,
be more than 30 ways?
maybe just a
Yeah.
few. So take a deep breath, share the news with friends, family, and colleagues, give your goals a 1 day break, reflect on the path you took. And I think that particular point there, Saki, for me is really important.
The
because
reflection.
yeah, absolutely. Because the path that I have taken, or that I was, put on by outside impacts, that's not the word, is it? Outside
Influences.
influences. There you go. What am I going to do without you? You're my dictionary. But that path that I took, or that I have been put on by my decisions and then outside influences, it's been hectic. And so for me to be standing on my own 2 feet, be succeeding in the things that I'm choosing to do, it's huge. So I think that that's definitely one that I will focus on.
That's awesome.
Um, Write down success and put it where you can see it every day. I like that one. It's a good idea. Sleep. I will try doing that one eventually. And the next one is like you were saying, people that supported you, people who were that inspiration. When you share your success, it gives you that opportunity to recognize those people. Tweet it. Well, I'm not a tweeter.
Neither am I. But
Accept and
it
enjoy
can
the
it could still be like posting it on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Accept and enjoy the compliments.
So
What's a
how are
favorite?
you with that?
How am I at accepting and enjoying the compliments? Mm, I
That's a
hear
toughie.
them. It is. I look. I hear what people say. I just don't feel like I absorb it. Um,
Maybe there's
and
an
maybe
opportunity.
that's yeah. It's something that I would work on, but I would have to. I think it would go a little bit deeper than sort of surface level. It's something that I'd have to unpack. My issue with accepting compliments.
Listen, I think it's
Um,
totally tied into self-esteem and confidence.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely. And that's definitely getting back to where it was. And it's just one day at a time, one
that's
step at a
right.
time, one action at a
Absolutely.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. So just before
Um,
we move to the next one,
Sorry,
no, that's all
I
right.
hit the button.
So up on the earlier one, there was one that said taking a 1 day break. And I love that because it's so easy. I was talking to one of my boys today who is taking it upon himself to get himself back into shape.
Hmm.
And he's he's moved from kind of lethargy, not really lethargy, but to just like driven. And he was saying to me that he's he's riding his bicycle to work now. He's back at work, and his work is a 40-minute drive from his home. Okay.
Oh wow.
However, it's actually only a 45-minute bicycle because you can go in a straighter
Yep.
way than you can drive.
Hmm.
Okay. But it's not brutal, but it's extremely challenging. And he said to me today, he said, I should really be considering that as part of my exercise regime. I'm like, you're not? Like, so he's been coming home and feeling like he needs to go for a run because all he did was go to work. But going to work for him is an hour and a half of cycling up and
Yeah.
down. Like each way is there's intense hills. So it was just an interesting thing. This idea of remembering to give yourself a break is
Yeah.
very valuable, and that can be a great celebration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's definitely putting in an amazing effort,
Oh,
riding to
totally.
and from work,
Yeah.
and those hills, and it's physically, and once he processes that mentally, it's going to have such a big impact on him, as opposed to going to the gym and jumping on the treadmill, which will do the inclines, declines, and sort of up and down. But getting on the bike, it's like going for a run on the street. For me, it's not flat. It's the Blue Mountains. It's up and
Right.
down and up and down. It's really significant. So I think recognizing that is really important, and having a break, giving
Yes.
yourself a break. They always say you should at least have one rest day,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it comes to exercise. And if that's the goal, yeah. It doesn't mean, hit the couch and order a pizza and eat the whole thing, which is what I would do. But,
Yeah.
um,
So the
so
first one here I love, right?
yeah,
Like this is one of the things for me that I gain so much personal enjoyment from is helping others celebrate their success.
yeah, supporting someone else in reaching their goal and celebrating. Yeah. I think that you really helped me to do this, Saki. You really, you are one person who supported me to reach this goal of turning that idea into what we are doing right now. Um, so I thank you for that.
My pleasure.
I just did too. Well, I mean, it was recognition and thanking someone. But
And
um,
can you cross it off a list of goals?
you know what? Funnily enough, I don't have a list. I don't have a list of goals. I have a timeline for my study, and yeah, it
So
gets me
you
to
know
where
what
I
they
want to
say
go.
they you know what they say about targets, right? And goals. Okay. Goals are kind of like a target. Okay. So
Hmm.
if you don't know what you're shooting for, how do you expect to hit it?
I like that. That should have been our quote. That was good.
So, but
um,
it's and it's a hard thing because I think a lot of times people are hesitant to set goals because of fear of all sorts of things. But I do think that for me, having a list of goals is it's an ongoing process. I don't have any sort of master list. Some people have it. You're familiar with the term a bucket list.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so people have these bucket lists, right? And which I love. I think the concept of it is great. But I think I have my maybe my humility is a little lower key in that I'm not going to have these. It's funny. I was going to say I'm not going to have these amazing aspirational goals, but that's not true. I do.
Hmm.
And interestingly, I encourage my kids to. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't I? Right? We all want our kids to succeed and we get excited when they do. You know, we should be
Yeah.
leading by example.
I know. I do know. One of the things that I will say is that I have my cork board next to me over here. Um, I have small, so I don't have those big goals written down at the moment, but I do have those smaller goals that things that I want to achieve by a certain date. And I have those, written into my diary to, make sure I'm fitting them into my life to make sure they're done. And all the preparation is done. So if for example, I've decided to review something for my course on this day, I do the preparation the afternoon, evening before. So it's all ready to go. And I've gotten myself into that habit just over the last week or two. So
That's
really
great.
getting on top of those
So you have
things.
a course that you're working towards something, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So would you say that the goal might be completing the course?
yes.
There you go.
And then I
You have
would
a bigger goal
break,
now.
and then I would break that down into actionable steps.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Develop my plan. Um, I like I like do something you enjoy but rarely have time to do.
That's a gift.
It really is, and I think that it's funny because we fill up our lives so much with, so many different things every day, and obviously work is a big chunk of that. It takes a big portion out of each day, but it could be something as simple as reading a book or some of a book, or listening to music, or going for a short walk. Um, you know, just something simple that we
So
we tend
what
to.
do you think would constitute? I know that when I read that, what popped into my mind is kayaking. So we're surrounded by water here, and my wife and I have kayaked for many, many, many years. So we have our own kayaks, and I love being on the water, but I haven't done it in years. And so I'm thinking like that would be a great way for me to go celebrate something worth celebrating.
So one of your goals at the moment, once you achieve that, it's probably a good idea to note that that day or the next day, you'll make that time to go and kayak. I absolutely love it. We used to go to the boat shed at Audley in the national park here, and we would hire canoes and, go down the river
Yeah,
to this beautiful waterhole which had hot pockets. Um,
nice.
it was amazing. And we'd go. We would make a full day of it. Always loved
That's
doing
really
that,
awesome.
Saki.
Totally awesome.
Um, but yeah, I think the I don't see that I would be taking a day off work, but
But
if
for some people, that's a really big deal,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
big, a huge value. I would say my older son, who is in tech,
Hmm.
for him taking a day off work is a big deal,
Yep.
and a nice way to take care of himself or to have a celebration.
For me at the moment, it wouldn't be, because I guess I'm not working full time, and I think that that's something that will be quite significant for me, when I have that full time study load, and not going to push myself to full time work, but family, full time study load, and part time work. Just being able to actually schedule in a day to take off and just stop. It definitely, recognize that as being something important. Having a drink, I'm big on decaf green tea, not so much alcohol. Um, Whistling, going out for dinner. I um I found that one strange, whistling, but it's funny because Miss Five, she loves to whistle, and she does get so much enjoyment out of it. So it's all in the mindset, isn't it, Saki?
That's awesome. Totally.
I think, yep. So this is the last one. So writing your success story to share in a newsletter or email to clients and colleagues, and that's sharing that success, and it's quite likely that those colleagues were a part of it, and the goal, the achieved goal, could potentially be of benefit to clients. So in a big way, really sharing that celebration.
Well, it's
Sharing.
interesting in for me, this idea of sharing it on Facebook or sharing it in general. A large part of why I enjoy doing these kinds of things is the work I do as an advocate in healthcare is very personal, and very intimate. And so, when for me to be most effective, I really have to, not have to, but I wind up insinuating myself in somebody's life. And so there has to be a certain amount of trust built up. And so personally, I find that these things are great ways for me to allow people from the outside to have a window into who I am and what I might be like to work with, right? And so
Yeah.
sharing this is fun because I like who I am. I like, I think I am fun to work with, and so hopefully people can, take that away, and that's worth celebrating.
Yeah, and I think that I can definitely agree that you are fun to work with, Saki. It's
Thank
it.
you.
I've enjoyed what we've done. It's been, yeah, fantastic. Um,
Buying yourself something new. I mean, these are all very nice.
yeah,
Some of these are, I think, a little simpler than others, but it's a good reminder that there isn't one way to celebrate, and there's definitely no wrong way.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. And I think that, some of these things, I hadn't even thought of as, celebrating, but or rewarding myself. But it, it is, why do I always get stuck with my words, Saki? It is, can't think of what I was going to say. When we take for granted the ability to go to the gym, or take the dog for a walk, or relax, buying yourself something. So quite often we take those things for granted. They're just things that we do, but actually recognize it as, we can actually do those things. We actually have the ability to do these things, and recognizing it as something that to be grateful for.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, I think,
And actually, I think it's one of the things that helps make people stronger.
yeah,
Internally, being able to understand, and actually, it really gets back to gratitude.
yeah, definitely. Um, so it's probably a bit big, isn't it? And very colorful.
That's okay. It's good.
Have
Go
you
ahead and read
noticed
it.
that this
Yeah,
one I made very colorful? So keep in mind that in order to get the most out of your celebration, you should do it immediately after reaching your accomplishment and before moving on to your next goal. So, what do you do to celebrate your success when you accomplish a goal?
well, I mean, I think we've talked about a lot of different options. I could tell you that I'm not great on doing it immediately after,
Hmm.
before moving on. Partially, I think because a lot of times so so I want to celebrate something tomorrow to celebrate you and I completing this. I'd
Yes.
love to go kayaking, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. So I'm going to hold that off. I'm going to say, because I know it's supposed to get nice this weekend. So I will hold myself back and
Hmm.
have my celebration of kayaking in honor of the wellness check-in next week. And I'll take some pictures, even maybe some video, and I'll send you.
Oh, that would be, or maybe you
Yeah.
could share that celebration on Facebook with everybody.
Well, there you go. Absolutely.
um, I make sure that you schedule it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Once I know the weather, will be okay for it.
Yep. Yep. So time for change. So as with every week, with every webinar that we've done, we have always set a little bit of a challenge. And this week's challenge is to recognize your effort. Um, this is something that I will be doing. So I will share a post on Facebook around, recognizing your effort and what that looks like, and how you can actually do that as well.
That's great.
Um,
And maybe you can lead by example.
Yeah, yeah. This is a big one for me, Saki. And the a quote as always to finish off our webinar: the more you celebrate your life, the more there is in life to celebrate. And
Absolutely.
I really like that because I think it goes along with gratitude. And being grateful, thankful for your abilities, your opportunities. It's a reason to celebrate. It's a reason to
Absolutely.
celebrate life.
Yeah. So this is
Um,
great. So this has been an incredible journey that I don't think I would have taken had it not been for your willingness to reach out. So I thank you for sharing the opportunity with me, and I'm very grateful for it. I learned a lot in this last 10 weeks, and a lot of which that I will carry forward, from here on as well.
Thank you, Saki. It's definitely been an adventure, and
And I
you have
think
been
both of
an
us have learned, yeah,
yeah, you've been an incredible support and very understanding, amazing individual to work with, and thank you. Do you
yeah.
have any questions, comments, or feedback?
It. I don't really, because I think that today should really just be left to celebrate, and I
Yeah.
think that we have lots to celebrate, lots to
Hmm.
feel good about, and we can do it in all the different ways. We can share it and spread it and drink it and walk our dog it. You know.
I will, towards the end of the week, I will definitely share with everybody in the Facebook group on how I chose to celebrate our efforts here and
Yeah.
what we managed to pull together.
That's
Yeah.
great. So, and then it's a good to remind everybody that all the week's recordings are up on YouTube. You can find everything via the Facebook page at the Wellness Check-in, including all of the challenges. So, for anybody who's interested in kind of going back and maybe trying to do some of these things on their own, that will be there for everybody to use.
Awesome.
So
Thanks, Saki.
thank you. This has been great,
We
and
did
I
it.
will look forward to whatever our next, yeah, exactly,
We
whatever our
did it.
next venture is.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
have a
Have a
great
lovely
day,
you
and
have
I'm
a
going to have a
lovely
good evening.
evening.
Take care.
All right. Bye, Saki.